Those were the headlines we are tracking for you this evening on What's Brewing Today. Mumbai-based quick commerce startup Zepto has raised close to $450 million in a mix of primary and secondary transactions, valuing the company at $7 billion. Now, the round marks the entry of California Public Employees Retirement System, one of the world's largest pension funds, alongside existing investors who've doubled down on their investments. To tell us what this fundraise means for Zepto's next phase of expansion, joining me now is Adit Palicha, the co-founder and CEO of Zepto. Adit, welcome to Startup Street. You've just raised close to $450 million in fresh funding, taking Zepto's valuation to $7 billion. You've doubled your valuation in less than a year, from $3.6 billion in mid-2024 to $7 billion today. Adit, tell us, how significant is it to have a global name like CalPERS join the cap table? And can you break down how much of this funding is primary and secondary?
So firstly, it's wonderful to be here. Thanks for having me. And, it's a show that I enjoy as a viewer as well. So firstly, I think obviously this, financing has been, pretty significant milestone for the company. We're excited to, have all the names that you mentioned in your introduction. And I think from our lens, the focus is, we've been able to grow. The reason why we were able to get this financing done is because we've been able to grow from roughly around 500,000 orders per day in mid-2024, when we closed our last fundraise, to about today 1.6 to 1.7 million orders per day. And even as we've grown the business close to 250% in the past 5 quarters, what we've been able to do, which I think is more important, is we've been able to consistently keep turning stores profitable. We've turned hundreds of stores, incremental stores, profitable even as we expanded. And so those are the foundations for this fundraise. And I think the last question you mentioned is on the amount that's primary or secondary. What I can tell you is that the vast majority of this $450 million is primary, and we're now in a position where we've got close to $1 billion of net cash in bank. So we're more than well capitalized to take the company through the next few years. So that's basically where we are right now.
Well, clearly you've got a lot of cash with you, Adit. But what's the roadmap for this capital? Will it go toward expanding dark stores, strengthening, tech and supply chain, or improving profitability metrics ahead of a potential IPO?
Look, I think the key verticals that we continue to invest in, one, obviously, we're launching a few hundred stores over the next 12 months. So we already have well over 1,000 stores today. We think we're going to add a few hundred more stores. Even though we're seeing pretty substantial growth even in existing cities, and we're going to keep doubling down there, we do plan to add a couple hundred more stores. That's one. The second piece is, we are obviously putting, capital behind acquiring new customers, which we've consistently done. So that we're doing over like a longer period of time. And more importantly, I think the bigger piece of clarity, or at least what we've realized, is that there's a lot of value that we can build technically in our business, right? A lot of intellectual property that we create in, supply chain product, automating financial processes, even on the consumer side with search or our advertising business. So there's a lot of, development work that we do there. So we're putting capital behind that. But at a principal level, Shruti, we're expecting to keep growing the business meaningfully quarter on quarter, and keep improving bottom line quarter on quarter as well. And what we're hoping to do is to show investors, which at least right now seems like we're on a good track to do, to keep showing, bottom line improvement quarter on quarter, even as the business keeps growing.
Adit, we are in the middle of the festive season. What is Zepto's strategy to capture festive demand while keeping, delivery time, service quality, and margins intact?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we've had a pretty successful festive season. Touch wood so far. It's been pretty dramatic. I think, for example, like some of the festivals that have already passed by, like Navratri or Ganesh Chaturthi or Raksha Bandhan,
Yes.
right? We've seen growth between 100 to 200% in some of the key festive SKUs that serve as a barometer for this, right? So for example, Dandiya sticks or Rakhis, or let's say, day after tomorrow, Dhanteras, gold and silver coins, right? We've actually seen pretty ridiculous growth year on year in those categories. And the key, in specifically festive businesses or festive part of our revenue stream, the key there is selection, right? When a customer is buying a Rakhi or a Dandiya stick right before Navratri, for example, she's less sensitive about the price that she's getting. She's more sensitive about, is every demand signal, every type of SKU that she wants available. And you have to do deep data work, looking at search trends, looking at trends on what consumers are browsing through on the app from years prior, to really get a full signal of what potential demand points can we double down on. And so I think the key game in festive is selection. I think we've done a phenomenal job so far. It's reflecting in the growth. All the key
Sure.
festive SKUs are like 100 to 200% up year on year.
And finally, Adil, before I let you go, you've often said that the quick commerce story in India is still in its early innings. So tell us what's next for Zepto, in 2025, 2026, and, is it expansion, new categories, or maybe ringing the bell on Dalal Street? If you could also share what is Zepto's IPO timeline now, and how does this round feed into that roadmap?
Yeah, so we consider this financing a pre-IPO financing. We're not allowed to give exact timelines. There are some restrictions on being able to do that that we have to follow. But what I can tell you is you'll see very imminent news on next steps on that very soon on our public listing. So that's happening imminently. But what I can also tell you, I mean, from our perspective, we do think quick commerce is quite early. At least what we're seeing in our metrics is that we're going to have a substantial growth. We already have grown from 2024 to 2025. In an explosive way. We think that growth is going to continue to be pretty rapid next year and for the next few years. So I think that, this category is only 4 years old, right? Like 4 years ago, we had, one dark store in Bandra, and we had just raised a seed round, right? 4 years later, obviously, this category is massive and we're all doing billions of dollars of sales. And so from my lens, I think over the next 12 months, you're going to keep seeing that number multiply. And I think over the next 4 or 5 years, we have to take this to a category that does tens of billions of dollars of sales consistently, and I think that's where all of us are heading. So that's our point of view. A lot more to come, over the next few years.
Well, we will surely keep a track of all of that on Startup Street. Arid, many thanks for joining us. Wish you the very best for all your growth plans.
Likewise. Thank you so much.